Call Me Ishi by Oluwaseun Emmanuel. And it shall be in that day, you shall call me Ishi. You shall no longer call me Bali. Introduction. As the story goes, Onyi was born exactly 2 weeks after the rainfall that swept away Ora. The people were not to be done away with. They rebuilt their town and everyone's hope was invigorated. The Yam Festival was well on its way. It is in this plethoric atmosphere that a fragile yet resilient girl was born. There really was nothing special about her conception. On the contrary, the notion of her existence was at first frowned on. She was the result of an unestablished relationship. There were questions about her legitimacy. In fact, an aunt did infer she was too honey-skinned for her darker-skinned parents. There had been no introduction of families, no dowry was paid, no yams brought, no begging for the bride. As it tends to be in such cases, much was done by her 16-year-old mother to stall, if not eliminate, the life burden in her. This was an obvious, futile attempt, as she came out vigorous with a defiant will. She was an unexpectedly beautiful child, and if you ask her, the exaggerated tribal markings on her cheeks were an attempt to mask her especially exquisite features. Her mammy had been ecstatic at her delivery, as she had heard told her numerous times. She ran around town, screaming and telling every soul that she just birthed a child. Moti bimo, moti bimo. From infanthood, her looks, though somewhat substantial, would not be her greatest endowment. That would be her wit and quickness of mind, as will be seen as she progressed into child and adulthood. Her independent spirit, as well as her guarded nature, was already evident. They called her Onyi because of the golden hue of her skin. Chapter 1. The sun had started to set when Onyi finished taking her supposed short nap by the stream. She was still perturbed at the meaning of her dream. The man had been prostrating to her parents, and they were all looking at her. It felt so strange. At 15, she was a sort of conflicting composition, like the morning dew, refreshing, but she was in metamorphosis, like the vapor the dew became as it is licked off from cassava leaves by the waking sun. She has always been a little off, beautiful but otherworldly, almost lost in some thought or trance, and sometimes heard talking to herself. She was not crazy. Everyone knew that. If anything, she had too much of a good head on her slender shoulders. She hurriedly carried her calabash of water and headed home. Mama, is that you? Asked Adoni. Where in the world have you been? Her mother has always called her Mama, as though she was the mom. It used to baffle her, but now it's almost endearing. Benny, it is hi, Mom. I slept off, she said before realizing her slip of tongue. You, this girl. How many times have I told you that women and girls do not wander around by the stream, not to talk of sleep there? Have you not heard about the strange things happening in Afonja village? Don't you know about the disappearance of the young man who went for a swim but whose body never resurfaced? Or haven't you heard of the pale Fulanis who take people away in their metal canoes and ate them alive? Oh, I see. You were meeting with your friends, Abi. We need to go and see Agba soon. You have started your Egbe again, and to Olodumare who made me. I will not let them take you from me. Look at you at your age. All your friends are beautifying themselves and attracting suitable suitors. You, on the other hand, On the other hand, live in some dream world and act like you are from some alien land. Do you want a good life for yourself? All my efforts on you. You need to start thinking about settling down in a man's house, but they won't let you. And you yourself, you won't deliver yourself from their hands. Tomorrow morning, we are going to Agbas. End of discussion. Her mother has always been on the extreme side of things when it came to the supernatural, Oyin thought. She's always been convinced that Oyin was not just an old soul, but more specifically, her mother-in-law, whom, by the way, she never met. Kai, some of the things she concocts, Oyin mused to herself. She knew she had no Egbe unless they were somewhere in her subconscious. Who knows? She had been told so much about them that she had started to believe what everybody had told her from the time she could speak. Most girls in the Egbe she had heard from a folk tale, one moonlight story from Afinju this year, are extremely beautiful. Akpombekbore, hair dark and beautiful like that of a majestic horse's tail, tall and graceful like a deer, and a figure to kill for. Well, she was none of this, or at least not as much. She was not a Akpombekbore, more like a dull clay color. Her hair, interestingly, had a golden hint and grew intensely like a weed. A graceful body, she thinks not. She was almost stocky like her father, except that she was so fragile looking they called her Okbelenge, the one who fell on a ceramic plate and the plate did not budge. The only thing extraordinary about her were her eyes. She had been told to stop gazing at people so many times because they were sure she wanted to bewitch them. Her eyes were big but nicely shaped under a gloriously bushy eyebrow. The shape of her eyes were like that when one was mildly drunk with palm wine or just waking up from a refreshing sleep. The browns inside her eyes had something in it that looked like a river. It had the illusion of movement. She had been told they were unusually beautiful, but then again, she always forgets until someone takes their eyes off of her. Oyin detested seeing Agba. He talked about her to her parents as though she were invisible. Getting older had not diminished his treatment of her like some statue. Her father, Mose, did not like going to see Agba either, but he wanted peace and knew this was the way to go about it. Happiness is knowing when not to argue, he always said to his friends. After eating pounded yam and egusi with Erenikbe that night, Oyin gazed at the stars and wondered about them, why they were stuck in the skies, and why some of them ran only to disappear. She also wondered what would happen at Agba's the next day. She still had scars from the burial he put on her chest with the dirty blade and ashen dust when she was 13. She will have that scar for the rest of her life, thanks to him. Just before the crack of dawn the next day, Aduni and Oyin set for the 25-kilometer journey to Agba. They, of course, went bearing gifts. There was the proud millcock that made it his God-given obligation to wake the village up at 4 hours after midnight. She won't be missing him for sure. They also brought some awo eggs, a rare delicacy, some kola nuts, a fortnight-old oguro in a leather foreskin. As they got to the big iroko tree in front of his house, Oyin heard him. Ekwabo, welcome. Once of me pembo. They told me you were coming. That child has started, eh? Don't worry, Mutik Baradi. I am very ready. His ability to see, even though he was as blind as a bat, always amazed her. He, of course, had started his annoying gum-chewing habit and picking the kola nuts from her hands. Thank you, my daughter, he said, looking at Adoni. This is too much. You should have not gone through the trouble. Indeed, Oyin rolled her eyes. He always says that but never gives the gifts back. They sat in his unexpectedly well-furnished parlor. The mud floor had been renovated, interspersed with shiny white cowries and marbles. There was a new leopard skin, about 100 yards, sprawled on the mantel by the kerigbe. Business was booming, Onyi thought. You are very welcome, Agba. We can't come here without bringing gifts to the deity. Deity indeed. The wooden stick has yet to move its dwarf-like hands or mouth the 15 years Onyi had known it. Not to mention eating kola nut. Agba's numerous wives and children looked well-fed. That is where all their libations went. Everyone knew that. After much ruckus was made about not bothering with bringing any refreshments, Aduni went to the topic of the visit. Agba, she started. They said that the cow that has no tail, it is the mighty one who helps it drive away flies. We have come because we need your help. You have known Onyi since she was a suckling child, and you know the problems we have had with her. She had been more present with us when you gave us the agumo. However, it now seems as though the concoction has lost its power on her. She talks to Aigbe more frequently now. She's always at the stream. She still calls herself Victoria, and her eyes move much more. If only she can hear herself talk, maybe she will see how ridiculous she sounds sometimes, Onyi thought. Aduni continues. More worrisome for us is that she either has no interest in bringing home a suitor or she does not have the capacity to do so. I am so worried that we will lose her finally to these wicked people. I am at my wit's end, Agba. I need your help. I don't know where else to turn to. As Oya had predicted, her mother started to cry. She had always marveled at how her mother made a mountain out of a molehill. In her world, every problem was blown out of proportion. It is all right, my daughter. Otio, do not cry, Agba scolded Aduni. This is not a place of sorrow. Nobody has died, and there is nothing new under the heavens. Hers is not the first and will not be the last of this type of thing. Mi ò kí ń ṣe nǹkan tí, rárá o. We will get to the bottom of this, and everything will be fine. You have done very well, actually. You see, this proud cock you have brought is simply perfect. Oya, come here. You don't want to give your mother peace of mind, Abi, he said, frowning at Onyi and gesturing for her to come to the center of the room. Kunle, kneel down and close your eyes. Oshunbiyi, he called to his fifth son, bring me those palm fronds in the kerigbe, the wet ones. Fia, fia, fia. Before Onyi knew what was happening, she had gotten 3 lashes of the wet fronds on her back. Yay, Agba mio, she yelped. Keep quiet, Agba said, while Aduni started to pet her. We need to put some ugly marks on her so that she will be repulsive to them, especially the crazed Okorun. Onyi started to cry. I don't have an Okorun. Is that so? Then who gave you the name Victoria? Have you been to the land of the great queen? Do you fly there in the middle of the night? Oh, Onyi thought. These people are absolutely nuts. She called herself Victoria because that was the name of the funny lieutenant's wife on the radio show she listened to with her dad. Does he even listen to his stupid used radio? She wondered. He looked at her with suspicion, as though she would transform into some creature right there in their presence. She had endured so much in the hands of this man, and she had about had it. Now this beating her with welt palm fronds like she were mad. She only came because of how distressed her mother had been. If not, she thought. He got up and started to go round about her and was muttering to himself. He had the cock in his hands and the poor thing was screaming for its dear life. What is he going to do now? Beat her with a cock? Onyi thought. After spinning around for some minutes, there was a loud thud, "Bwah," on the decorated earthen floor. The cock stopped screaming. Abushe Bushe, the deed has been done. I will finish the rest, my daughter. They will not disturb her anymore.